Go straight to Janice. Janice, hello.
Hiya.
Hello.
Hi, Nick. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm doing very well, actually, despite my opening few remarks. So over to you, Janice.
Right. I think, I know I'm probably asking for a tall order here, but I really would like if the Arab countries could get together and find a way that we can get a corridor through to get the women and children out. If we could do that and get the hostages out, and then that would just leave, that would take the sting out of what the world's starting to think now. They're turning against Israel, and I think that's a bit unfair. They've had it since the 12th century. So I think if we can find a way, if the UN can find a way, just getting those children and women out.
You see, I'm going to come to Benedict, who I can see. I mean, no one's going to disagree with the sentiment behind what you're saying, Janice. And I suppose the question is, how would that work? I've lost complete faith in the UN in this, by the way, Janice. But my own thinking is, of course, is that those hostages, Hamas are not going to give those hostages up, are they? Benedict?
They're gone.
That's the problem.
They're gone.
Yeah, that's the problem, is that Hamas won't give up the hostages because that's the only way that they can. They believe they can hold the Israelis back, and they're not going to let innocent women and children leave because they need them as human shields. It is not Israeli propaganda to say that. It is what Hamas does. They do build their military installations, their weapons caches, underneath schools, underneath hospitals, because that is the most sensible place for them to put them, frankly. But also, we have to remember here, Israel is not the only party to the siege, to the blockade of Gaza. Egypt is not going to open the Rafah crossing to refugees because it doesn't want those people. It doesn't want 2 million people.
So every time I'm on air, I talk about that because people do not understand that problem. Janice, thanks. A brief call, but straight to the point that you got us kicking off there on that key issue. Let's go to Yusuf in Leicester. Yusuf, hello. Yusuf, you're on the air. Far away.
Sorry?
Yusuf, you're with us now. What would you like to say?
Yeah. I think, look, if we all take a deep breath and think of humanity first, right, then we should all be pushing for a ceasefire, regardless of the situation. This is absolutely abysmal, appalling. It is absolutely,
just clarify, what is? Yusuf, what is? Let's be specific here. Are you talking about what's happening in Gaza, just what's happening in Gaza?
Of course, and at the same time, look, there's no Hamas in the West Bank, and then over 100 people have been killed there as well. So I mean, look, it's gonna escalate. If we're gonna have a continuous give Israel complete carte blanche to do whatever they want, regardless of breaking and disregarding every UN resolution, every international law, then I'm afraid that we're gonna create a far difficult.
Well, are they disregarding? Are they wrong in their response to the horrific attacks they suffered?
Of course.
What, they shouldn't have gone in at all?
Of course they're wrong.
What, they shouldn't have gone in at all? Yusuf, should they not have gone in at all?
They have to assess the situation in full. This whole situation is started from 1948. It's not just like you said. Nothing happens in a vacuum. Even the creation of Israel didn't happen in a vacuum. There's so much history to it. But the thing is,
hang on, Yusuf. I'm struggling a little bit because I understand all your points about context. All right, the Secretary General of the UN made that. And he got in a lot of trouble for that, but actually if you read his full remarks, it was unwise, but I think most people probably understood his point. But you're actually saying Israel should not have responded to the attacks on October the 7th. Every country has the right to protect itself, and they would argue they're protecting themselves by trying to take out Hamas, who came in and invaded their country. Why is it wrong for them to respond like that? I agree with you, there's different contexts later on, but why was that wrong?
So you see, the problem we have is that the double standards, in the sense that we all keep on shouting, Israel has a right to defend itself.
Well, every country does. I didn't say even Israel, I said every country.
No, but what I'm saying is that indirectly, with that statement, we are saying that Palestinians have no right to defend themselves.
That's nonsense.
Persecution.
That's nonsense.
Of course it is.
No, it's not.
That is psychological. That is psychological warfare.
No, it's not.
You're telling the public.
Yusuf, you're trying to put words in mouth, and I honestly think the problem here is that people are still finding it hard to actually condemn Hamas for what they did in Israel and recognise that they have the right to defend themselves, and yet you can still condemn what is happening if you choose to do so on the scale that is happening in Israel now. Why do you find it impossible to just condemn what happened to Israel by Hamas?
Of course, of course we condemn any loss of any innocent life. It is absolutely abhorrent. It's not justified, completely unjustified. What we are saying that on the one side we condemn that, but then we can't condemn the loss of innocent lives on the other side.
Well, no, people are. People are. Listen, let's bring Benedict in, Youssef.
Youssef raises an interesting point, actually, about the what's been happening in the West Bank, which is that actually, and this isn't really being covered like it should be, is that there has been retaliation by settlers, and of course the IDF is duty-bound to protect the settlers, and Hamas does not rule the West Bank, and that's important to be said, and of course with what's going on in Gaza, not enough attention is being paid to that. Yeah. But we do need to recognise that the attack by Hamas, broadly speaking, when people say it happens in a vacuum, I understand what they mean by that, but there can never be any justification for what Hamas did. It wasn't a military attack on military installations. It was deliberate targeting of women, children, the innocents. And that is why I think it is totally within Israel's right to go into Gaza and deal with it in that way. The problem is, and I go back to what I said at the start, it's a question of who is the stronger of the two. There is the possibility, I believe, one day of a Palestinian state that is internationally recognized and is recognized by Israel as well. But what the Palestinians have to recognise is they are in the weaker position. And they didn't start in the weaker position. They started off as the stronger of the two. They and their allies, and they should blame a lot of their allied nations around them for selling them this dream that they can return to the 1967 borders. It doesn't work like that. In war, if you lose, if you keep invading a country and they keep battering you back, you don't just get to go, oh, OK, let's start again from scratch. We want our land back. They have to recognise that they will have to deal with it on Israel's terms. It's very unfortunate, but it's the way the world works.